Brothers and sisters, generals, family, we are alive and breathing. We are back to conquer another day, another year, and another decade. And I salute our families. I place that goal over our families. May all of our families prosper and everything we touch turn to gold. And anyone we held dear that may have transitioned in our family, may they rest in peace and in power. And I got to honor thy ancestors, man, brother or sister that was a general that fought with the least amount of tools to get many of us in that great divine space that we are in. We don't think about yesterday. We think about the present and being righteous so we can have a righteous future. So stay with it, my brothers and sisters, and current subscribers, new subscribers, anybody that view, I salute you. May that great divine bring blessings in our lives and make us prosper and see things for what it is, and don't get caught up in all the mayhem and all the chaos that's going on out here in this here so-called matrix. And we're going to get into it, brothers and sisters, and I mean this from my soul, because as many of us preachers and teachers that have been developed out here, whether you have a podium or not, you don't have to have a podium to be a teacher. You're a teacher and a student of human nature, of ourselves, experiences we have learned, brother or sister, young or old. So as I do on this channel, suggest, teach, and give advice. And this is another edition of EBX discussion, and welcome. And as you see on my banner, I always show in nature and over the city. I like to do thought intro before I get to the title. So I always like to give a little encouragement and inspire and positive energy, no matter what. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's challenging, but it's best. But some advice I want to give to anyone that's listening, brother or sister, young or old, family, become one with our divine spirit and outsmart the so-called matrix. I'm going to say it again. Become one by any means righteously with our divine spirit and outsmart this so-called matrix. And that's how we got to think about it. The matrix is nothing more than a powerful illusion once you're standing on the outside of it. And I said it many times, once we're on the outside of this so-called matrix, we see it all. So that goes back to my banner. That's why you see me show stuff like this on my banner all the time. And we have to have the art of not caring what person, place, or thing thinks. We have to have that in our soul. We can't worry about what people think about us, because that'll stagger us and stop us on this journey. So that's why I put stuff like this on my banner and little small videos, and sometimes there'll be isolated photos and sometimes there'll be videos, but it'll always be something above and beyond what we see in this so-called matrix, because we have to focus on ourselves, our family, our health. Got people around us, our loved ones, some of them that's close to us, maybe in our families or close to our families, some that are not doing so great. You got people that's struggling out there. So that's why one should never take life for granted, because I'll say 1,000 times, us as human beings, we never know what's coming down the road, and that's facts. But that great divine always know when we invest in it, that God spirit deep within. I'm not talking about no damn system God either. I'm talking about that real God that prevent us from doing things and give us good solutions within our soul, and working through challenges and keeping things simple and not creating chaos in one's life. Because if you're creating chaos in your own life, then everything you touch will be chaos. That's why you hear so many of us great teachers out here, brother or sister, salute. And there are some good ones out there. I will always say that. I don't pay attention to toxic people. If you're healthy, nothing wrong with you, mind, body, and soul. I said on a podcast in the past, I have no enemies. The only enemy that we should focus on is the one that's within ourselves, because that's the worst enemy of all. So you better win that battle deep within. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. If you're healthy, no handicaps, nothing wrong with you, no medical condition. I always throw them things like that in there. But if you're healthy, nothing wrong with you. You better win that battle deep within, or you're going to have a hard road ahead. Not challenging, hard. It all depends on how we are. If we have productivity, if we have our priorities in line, And having our priorities straight is just like being in alignment with that universe. Mind, body, and soul, see, hear, and feel. And what is the center of that? The good old psyche. So I'm telling you, it's not an easy process, but when we do things to practice on filtering things out in our psyche, especially in this social media, the news and politics and celebs and some toxic artists and all this stuff we have to weed through. Once we can learn to do that and not influenced by everything we see, hear, and feel, because we don't need to listen and see everything we see, hear, and feel. So if we can focus on those areas, I call them the seven senses: mind, body, and soul, see, hear, and feel, the psyche. When we can practice on those areas, and I mean it, I'm telling you, you will see the so-called matrix for what it is. And you'll start sounding like me. You'll be calling it the so-called matrix. Because that's why I say I've said it before and I'll say it again. The matrix is a manipulation of itself. It's a big ass cabal of manipulation. And I bring it up. I brought it up before, but I'll bring it up again. Matter of fact, I'm gonna put it in the end screen. It's called the honey bumblebee theory, and it's still going on. That's a podcast that I made that will always be relevant, because until we all wake up and become in tune with our divine spirit, if we don't come in tune with it, we'll be forever caught up. You can't see if you're caught up in this so-called matrix. If you're in it, you have to be on the outside of it. That's facts. So go back to the podcast I made, and I keep bringing it up because it's important, and the honey bumblebee theory. And the media is the honey, and some of us are the bees, and they throw stuff out there via news, social media, in the world, and they throw stuff out there, and everybody just bzzz. And then, then over time, everybody talking about it is plastered all over everybody's banner and media. Then that disappears. Then something else comes along, and everybody bzzz, 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 and they just keep doing it over and over. And like I say, and it's like a hamster on a wheel. And that's my theory of the honey bumblebee theory. The media, the world, the chaos of the world is the honey. The toxic things that's going against nature. People changing their physical body and all that. They think they're good. Like I say, I'm not in religion, but I pull things from religion, because that's another thing. When you're on the outside of the matrix, you'll see discrepancies in some of the religion and some things that just don't line up. Once you come into that truth, everybody comes to that truth. I don't care who we are, whether we're in religion or not. Everyone comes to some kind of truth in their life. And it's like, I don't know, and we just had I used to have this saying where I say, we learn from a teacher, we only feel good from a preacher, depending on what preacher we're listening to. But I have to say, there's a lot of preachers falling off. We need teachers, not preachers. We need something that someone, or brother or sister, or whether on a podium or not, we need teachings that hit to the pit of that soul, that impact our lives and make us change and help change others' life, whether it's brother or sister, young or old, family member, anyone we come into. It's their choice if they want to change. The old saying goes, we can lead a brother or sister, the example, we lead a horse to water, but we can't make their ass drink it. You have to drink that divine water. We have to go through the process. There's no getting around it. Have to deal with oneself to the depths of that soul. That's the only way we're going to reach that divine spirit deep, deep, deep within, to the pit of that soul. Like I say, to the bottom of the barrel, till we hear thong. We got to hit that bottom, so we can filter out all the little crazy thoughts and things we see, hear, and feel that come into our body and our system. It's very, very important. We have to work our way in and then work our way out. Righteous ripple effect, because as we know, this so-called matrix also has negative energy tied into it. We could say the devil, a negative force, whatever you want to call it. Because what comes with righteous light, unfortunately, comes with negative light. Yes, light can be negative and also evil. We have to be careful of that. We want to stay within that righteous light. And I don't care how it sounds. You think righteous, corny, whatever. As I said before, and I'll say it again, live an evil, toxic life. And let me know how that work out for you. So we try to be as right as we possibly can, so we can be ready for things to come, because things are changing rapidly, digitally, economically. If I might not say it right, some words I fumble because some words I don't use in my vocabulary. I'll always be honest about that. But economically, if I didn't say that right, but you know what I mean. The money's changing, jobs are changing. A lot of businesses are going out of business. A lot of people are retiring. A lot of people are trying to find ways to make money independently. There are people out there that are aware of the system, and that's all cultures. There's always a few truth sayers in all cultures, but I'm speaking for the black culture because, of course, my brothers and sisters, we have gotten it the worst, and that's hands down. Especially my sisters have gotten it the worst. And I have to say, whether those like to hear it or not, sisters started the whole race. Everything began with a sister. They are the true goddesses. And I'll say before, and I'll say this again. Sisters are the ones next to God because they created life. Everything began with a melanated sister. They started this life. Great Divine gave them the privilege of developing and having human beings and creating the human beings in this life, boy or girl. So that's why I say sisters just don't know how much of a goddess they really are. Everything began, with a sister, everything, all races, everything, because, and it's a fact, don't care what people say, because melanated brothers and sisters, we are the only culture that can make any color. Any color can come out of us. It can be brown, light brown, dark brown, light skinned. That's how you know that life began with a melanated sister, hands down. So I'm telling you, sisters need to know that they're a goddess. And knowing things like this will help you to see on the outside of this so-called matrix. So I say again, become one, brothers and sisters, the best way we can. And be one with that divine spirit deep within. So for my leaders and teachers, I always say with a student spirit, we got to have another meditative moment. And I appreciate those that's been riding along with a brother, that's supporting a brother, and a salute to those who support me on X. The last podcast I talked about the benefits of positive music, and it was just wonderful, to have people support you, and they're starting to notice my music. And again, I put a disclaimer out there: the music I make is not mine. It's from beat makers from Rap Fame, which is an app and Play Store. And if you're interested in music, I have music on SoundCloud, Rap Fame, right here on my channel, as well as my son, Lord Lamont. Salute. And just trying to give good vibes to the listeners, not trying to get paid or be no big star. Just something I love, and it's a passion and a hobby, more or less. Again, salute to the beat makers on Rap Fame and all the artists on there. Got some great artists on there. They show support. And but I write my own lyrics, but I don't do my own beats. I will get back to doing one's beats, but I like listening to different beat makers. Again, like I say, I listen to beats all the time without the words. I can sit back and just listen to instrumentals of songs and beats for hours, outside of this so-called matrix, because that's what we got to do, family, brother, sister, young or old. We got to do things different, get out of our old comfort zones and routines, and get off that old hamster wheel. Mentally, I've gotten off that hamster wheel a long time ago. And I always like to reiterate, now remember, folks, this is how you can, another way, I'm gonna get to this summary. I'm gonna read a summary, but one more thing, we got to remember that the Matrix didn't even exist before we saw the movie. I bring this up every now and then. Just think about that. Did we even know it exists? We knew it exists, many of us, but it didn't have a name on it, And then the movie came along, and now it's called The Matrix. So we have to be careful and really break things down, because again, none of us even knew what the Matrix was or even heard that word until the movie came out. So I want people to just think about that. That's why I say we can't jump on everything we see in the media and in this life, set back, as I said once before, and assess the whole world. I mean, every little part, every little detail, right down to our own lives, and just really see this so-called matrix for what it is, a big ass ball of manipulation. So don't get caught up in it and stick to our divine spirit. All right, I want to get to this summary. I love reading the summaries. Let's go, leaders and teachers, brothers and sisters, young or old, family. Escaping the matrix means shedding all outside influences. Society wants you to behave a certain way, look a certain way, and think a certain way. Mental level begins when a high mental level begins when a person realizes the absurdity of the system, the so-called matrix, in which he or she lives, and begins to take the necessary steps to disconnect from this toxic so-called matrix. When we are outside or free from the so-called matrix, then he or she, brother or sister, we identify with our true divine self. That's wonderful. I want to read that first summary again. Escaping the matrix means shedding all outside influences, especially if it's not good for our mind, body, and soul. See, hear, and feel that good old psyche. Society wants you to behave a certain way, look a certain way, and think a certain way. Bull crap. That's why I made a podcast called Don't Never Live by the Expectations of Social Media or Others. Stick to what's important, that's better in ourselves, brother or sister, and focus on our children, family, significant other. And we do those things and stick to it, in our businesses and ways to maintain. We come up with our own ways to think of ways to disconnect from this here matrix, and way we talk, way we think, and how we act. We change everything, change our whole narrative to a firm, fearless, righteous walk. You know what I'm saying? Become a force to be reckoned with, just like that great divine and Mother Nature. And I'm gonna tell you another great way to detach and disconnect from this so-called matrix. I've learned from some great brothers, great sisters too, but it's two main brothers that really help the brothers thinking and and perception of things. Nature. I learned a lot about nature. I've studied myself, but I've also learned from great teachers. And once you experience it and you get in nature as much as we can, it's more than just sounding cool. Really get in nature, and walk on the grass barefooted wherever you at, and really soak it in and get that earth underneath our feet. Feel the soil beneath our feet and really grasp hold of that energy of nature and just detach from some of this digital shit. Some of it we have to connect ourselves with because we got jobs and bills and things like that, because that's the way they made it. They made it where we have to have some kind of attachment to it. But we can always work on and come up with ways to detach, especially mentally. That's why I came up with mentally off the grid, because I've been mentally off the grid for a minute, and I can cut certain social media outlets off. If you can learn to do that, you a strong brother and sister. Because I use Facebook as an example. I barely go on Facebook ever. I probably been on there in a year. X every blue moon. Only thing I really do on X, I support some people's posts and repost them. And I might post music. That's just how I move. That's just suggestion. Everybody moves on their own. But whatever it takes to keep our psyche cleansed, keep our mind right, watch what we channel into our body, because the body always follows the mind. And, I always like to point out the energy we let go up and down our spine. I like how that rhyme, because I looked that up, and the spine is very important. And how many of us really pay attention to our spine? The spine is the most important part of our body, and not all, but some brothers and sisters, individuals, don't even think about that. And the reason why it's so important, because I've said it before, and my son and I discussed this, Lord Lamont, salute. It leads up to the stem of our brain, and its messages goes up our spine to our brain, and then it sends out, and whatever vibration goes up our spine, up to our brain, sends it out to the nerves throughout our body. That's why I made that podcast about the benefits of positive music, because when we hear music or a song we like, it sends a vibration throughout our whole body. So that's the same thing as if we're involved in toxic things, or we're distracted, or we're being bombarded with things on social media or the world. We can't let ourselves become too overloaded with information, influences. We have to step back again, like I said a few minutes ago, and assess the whole freaking world. I mean, all of it. Break it down into little pieces, details, and see this so-called matrix for what it really is. I'm telling you. And you like it on my banner, like I always show, above the city and all that, above and beyond. That's how we got to take our sights, and because when you're on the outside of the matrix, as I said before, you'll see it all, and we don't have to comment on everything and speak on everything, assess things, let things play out, that's, not all, but some. That's how this web can have us drawn in, where we think we this big speaker. I mean, I'm talking about just hypothetical. I'm not talking about nobody I listen to or nobody that speaks online. I'm talking about sometimes some individuals in comments is always so quick to say things. That's called an impulse, by the way. Something I study a lot. If we can discipline our impulses in this life, we would flourish. I'm telling you, because that is the main challenge or problem in this world and social media is impulses. And as I said before, and I say it again, impulses are out of control. Just take a look, social media, what it has us do. Just the view of a camera, what is crazy. So and some is adults, and it don't matter, it could be adult or young. It's crazy what this matrix I have individuals doing. It's crazy, so, and some always like to say, what we do righteous in the present, always and forever benefit us in the future. So if we stay on the outside of this matrix and don't get caught up in the humble bunny bee theory, I'm telling you, we will become intelligent. We will become smart. We got to outsmart this so-called matrix, and because again, we never know what's coming down the road in this human body, and study every area of our body, every kink, every quirk, any weaknesses, study them, because that's what this so-called matrix will use against us, is our weaknesses. Watch those sidebars when we're scrolling through social media. Pay attention to everything. Don't just be entertained. Look to be educated, so we can learn something. So when we come up off, if we're on a computer or a phone, when we come up off of it, we have something locked in our mind that'll help us, man, to always keep in the back of our mind to disconnect from this so-called matrix. So that was in my spirit, and I've disconnected, and what really made me think about disconnecting from this so-called matrix again, because there's people that's struggling, and there's people that's not doing so well. So and I have a friend. I was actually just on Facebook, but like I said, I don't be on there a lot, so I don't be knowing what's going on. So I have a friend, I think, that's in the hospital, and I had another friend that invited me to join a group, so I joined it, and a friend of mine is in the hospital right now, and it made me feel terrible, because one thing that Great Divine has given one, and there's many great brothers and sisters out here like this, because that's why we have so many reachers and teachers, man. Of course I'm empathic. I will never be this person that don't give a damn about others. No, I would never be like that. That wouldn't be divine at all. I'm not perfect, but I'm not a hateful. I don't have any enemies. I'm not looking to hurt no one. None of that. So, but yeah, I just kind of focus on one's family and just try to keep one's mind straight, mind, body, and soul. But yeah, actually had a friend on the job that's kind of going through some mental things, and I have another friend that I grew up with that's in the hospital now, if I'm not mistaken, is going through something. And I read a little comment and said he had a feeding tube going through his mouth, and that just broke my heart. I don't like hearing stuff like that. That's why I want us to be strong and be above this so-called matrix and this social media shit, because there's real things going on, real talk. And as many of us say, this matrix ain't nothing but a powerful ass illusion and a false sense of reality. Danger, danger, danger. I always say that, I always do that, because when you wrapped up in a false sense of reality, man, you're gonna be lost. I'm telling you, you lost. But yeah, that was just some things that was in one spirit, and and so, like I say, may that Great Divine come in those who are struggling in this life, and ones that want to do well and just going through some kind of sickness or some kind of circumstance that they can't control, but they have a good heart. May that great divine come in their life and strengthen them, and that's brother or sister. So those were some things in one spirit. And my current subscribers, new subscribers, anybody that view brother or sister, young or old, family member, thank you for coming in to another edition of EBX Discussion. And stay strong, and be proud of the small victories that we conquer, and it will lead to big victories. And stick with our families, stay strong within, and become one with our divine spirit, and outsmart this so-called matrix. Salute.